Today's podcast is brought to you by The Juke Gaming, Buy, Sell, Trade, and Repair, and The Ripper the Clown Show on YouTube, an unpredictable comic book character come to life.
I hate hipsters, and that's exactly what it's come to. It's like, you see people walking around with, like, the buttons on their vest or their shirts that says, like, you know, Sega or Mario or something, and I'm like, are you shitting me? Your first Mario game was, like, Mario Sunshine.
I get yelled at when I say I'm old. Every time I go, man, I'm getting old, somebody goes, you're not old. Okay, then why is every game I played in my childhood considered retro now? Yep. Like Tony Hawk Pro Skater or Crash Bandicoot. That's so vintage.
Like, I remember...
It's only 15 years ago.
Yeah, one of my earliest memories was when we got the Nintendo. We had that old wood console TVs that would sit on the floor, you know. And my dad's like, alright, let's hook up the Nintendo. And he put it on top of the VCR, hooked it up, you know, put the game in there. We had 3 of our chairs sitting in front of it. And for years, we'd go to the video store. And back then, rentals were like $1.50. We'd get the Double Dragon and the Turtles and stuff like that. I don't know. I value my vintage, and I say that loosely. I guess you could say I value my youth games. I can't really say vintage because I sound like a fucking douchebag when I say that. Yeah. Because I was around when it first came out, so it's not really vintage to me. No. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm 29 and, you know, I'm just...
29 and ripping my ass.
Smells like hot dogs and s'mores. Anyways, you know, what are some of your fond memories of your first game system?
Well, my first game system was the PlayStation.
PlayStation definitely was a huge stride.
Yeah, it was, because I was born in 92. I remember my very first gaming memories being a PlayStation. But also, I was, in this, you've even openly admitted just not understanding this era. Mm-hmm. I was immersed in the Pokemon generation. I had the Game Boy and the 64 and all this stuff. Pokemon ruled my life.
Right.
That was my youth. But I also played games like Ape Escape.
Okay.
Which is relatively a forgotten game.
Right.
Tony Hawk's and Smackdown.
Did you play Twisted Metal?
I did not play Twisted Metal. Nope.
You did play Vigilante 8, though.
Vigilante 8 was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
Just games like that, just, I guess I had more of like a grown-up childhood because Nintendo kids had Mario and, you know, stuff like that. I had shit like Vigilante 8.
Right.
You know, because PlayStation was a more mature system.
That's what it was targeted towards.
Yeah.
It was targeted like 18 to 30 demographic.
Yeah, so
I mean, even Crash Bandicoot was kind of...
I felt like I was the outcast, though, because I was the PlayStation kid, but I had to go over to my cousins to play Mario. Mm-hmm. Like, he had 64, he had the Mario 64 games, the Mario parties.
Right.
And then he came over to play Crash, so...
Like, I didn't even get a Nintendo 64 until about 5 years ago, because I was a Sony person.
I feel bad for the kids in the early 90s that had a Sega instead of a Super Nintendo.
Well, like, when it comes to, like you said, I don't really understand the whole Pokemon era. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I guess I don't want to sound like that old codger where it's like, I don't understand the little furry animals color.
That's exactly what it is. Like, to a 90s kid, Pokemon is everything. Yeah. But to anybody else, it's just a leveling game.
Yeah,
it's just it's the same as Skyrim. If you don't like the adventure and the little monsters they're trying to level, right, then Pokemon's not for you.
I guess for me, my version of Pokemon would have been like, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a video game, but like we had the real Ghostbusters, you know, He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
Yeah,
that was my Pokemon. I mean, granted, you look back at He-Man and Masters of the Universe, you think He-Man was a fag.
Oh, yeah, look at his haircut.
I mean, some of the stuff that they did during the 80s with the demographics, you know, everybody looked like Fabio.
Yeah.
You know, Conan the Barbarian, you know, shit like that. It was a very weird, cartoony time. Even nowadays, like, I've never understood the other types of Japanese stuff. Like,
I don't get into anime except for Dragon Ball Z. Of
like
course.
I never understood Dragon Ball. I never understood like Inuyasha or Naruto or any of that
Pokemon's
stuff.
anime too. Pokemon's from
Like,
Japan.
I've never been able to follow any of it, but because I was older, I don't follow it.
Well, you were
know?
more of like a G.I. Joe.
I had G.I. Joes.
I think like
that.
if you were in the show, the cartoon G.I. Joe, because they all had stupid names.
They did.
I think you would be the truck driver, and your name would be Gasbag. You wear flannel and just like that's your only lines.
Like,
Just like, what do you think about it, Gasbag?
Do you guys need fuel? G.I. Joe, American Hero. I would have to say one of my favorite systems, which was taken away much too soon, the Sega Saturn.
Never played.
I own one. I've owned one since it came out, because it came out in '95, so it competed with the PlayStation.
Okay.
That's why it tanked.
Yeah, because I was so PlayStation brainwashed,
a lot of people
I didn't even know.
forget about the Sega Saturn.
Well, same thing with Dreamcast.
Dreamcast as well, because the Dreamcast competed with the PlayStation 2. So, it was one of those systems that was very unique because it had CD-based game. It was their first CD-based, besides the Sega CD, which that crap too as well. But the graphics were fantastic. There's a lot of good games for it, if you could find them. The Sega Dreamcast was fantastic. It was one of the very first internet-capable systems.
Which is shocking.
Which a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, that's real shocking.
It had a web browser. You
Yeah,
hooked up your landline to it.
Yeah.
And you had a web browser.
The only memories I have of the Dreamcast was just playing in Walmart.
Yeah. Well, I didn't buy one until a couple years ago. I played it at my friend's house, but I picked one up at a garage sale for like $2.
There's a lot of stuff that like were invented back in the day where I'm like, why isn't that still around? Like the Polaroid camera, it's instant photos, and we're still taking shit to stores to print out.
Believe it or not, the very first, and this was during the late 80's. This was before the Nintendo Wii. They actually technically had technology back then to do it. It was this large circle that you would put together, and it had sensors in it that you could move your arms and legs, and it would show up on the screen.
Well, look at Duck Hunt.
Yeah?
1985, Duck Hunt came out. You pointed a gun to a box TV.
Yep.
You didn't have to have a sensor bar.
No.
It worked like shit, though.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like the technology was there.
Here's the bad part about that, though. We tried it on my TV at home. You can't do it on a flat screen TV.
No.
It doesn't work.
Nope.
You have to use it on an old TV. Which is why I'm glad I held on to all those old TVs.
Yeah.
Here at Two Broke Jobless Guys, very soon we're going to be adding more content. We're also planning on doing a green screen show.
Yep, some sketches
we could
maybe.
Be doing some sketches,
Yep.
some video game reviews. We really appreciate, and we noticed today that we're up to how many subscriptions?
19.
Yes, we're up to 19
We went
subscriptions.
we went from 13 this morning to 19, which was really weird.
We are really, really thankful for everybody that has subscribed. Tell your friends, tell your family.
There's probably some people out there laughing at us right now for getting so excited about 19 subs. But anybody to go that much in like a day when you're not like famous,
yeah.
that's a big deal.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
we were stuck at 13 for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And then boom, 19.
Yeah.
So thank you guys, whoever subscribed. Thank you.
Absolutely. And before we go, we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Juke Gaming, and they are located at
East Main and Danville.
Absolutely.
And all of their information is at facebook.com/juke.gaming.
And we would also like to thank Ripper the Clown and his fabulous comedy shows.
Yes, he is based out of Champaign, Illinois, and he is an unpredictable character come to life.
Oh, absolutely. Myself and Shithead Dave may be frequenting his comedy shows coming
Yes, we would love to go and film some and maybe interview him.
Oh, absolutely.
Or even have him on a green screen show.
Oh, yeah. And before we go, I do have one tip. First of all, I want to say that when you get into vintage gaming, make sure you have a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a sinkhole.
Yes.
That's pretty much with everything. Comic books, everything. It is a money hole.
Yes. So make sure you can budget yourself.
Make sure your heart's in it, really.
Yeah.
And you will hear a lot of people saying, all you care about is that.
But that's all for us at the Two Broke Jobless Guys, and we'll talk to you later.
All right.
When it's least expected, you're elected, you're the star today. Smile, you're on Game Boy Camera. It's fun to look at yourself as other people do. How's your sense of humor? There's a rumor, laughter's on its way. Smile, you're on Game Boy Camera.
Yes, with Game Boy Camera, you can turn photography into fun-tography.
Smile, you're on Game Boy Camera.